I'm back at it. Here's a new episode of Big June Sports Talk Podcast, man. Where sports discussion becomes sports debates and so on and so on, man. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend, tell another friend. Let them know what's going on, man. It's the new podcast when it comes to sports. Here, we touch everything. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything and anything in the sports world that's attached to it and it's significant, we going to touch on this platform, man. It is what it is. I just dropped the Killer Instinct, Aaron Hernandez episode. The Shame on You coach, Brian Kelly mess. I just dropped the trilogy, Who's the Greatest Big Man in NBA History. So you can check that on the channel. You know I'm all about to hit you with some audio this week as well. So stay on the lookout for that on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and other major platforms. You know what I'm saying? So you know your boy, I'm always trying to find fresh content for the show. You know, keep things in perspective as far as the sports, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. In all phases of the game. You know what I'm saying? Everything that comes with it, man. Like contracts, coaches, players, incidents, anything and everything. This is what we do here on Big June Sports Talk Podcast. Right? So be on the lookout for that Len Bias episode. Be on the lookout for the Jose Fernandez, Splash Brothers, CTE, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter. You know, your boy's working, man. You know what it is? So I got some shows on the horizon, and this is what we're going to continue to do on this platform. I'm also going to touch on this one here that I'm about to get an episode into, right? The worst contracts in sports history, right? But before I get into that, there's a couple of contracts that didn't make the list for whatever reason, right? You know, I'm pretty sure that you could come up with a few contracts that you felt were crazy, that were ludicrous, that should have never been signed, that should have never been given out. Maybe by your favorite team, my favorite team, or a team in general, right? But, you know, some of these names will surprise you. And again, some of these names you expected to see on this list. Okay. So, you know, not even going to waste your time. Let's get it going. Coming in at number 10 is Bobby Bonilla. Right? Bobby Bonilla, an outfielder for the New York Mets, is to receive $1.2 million till 2035. Right? Let me repeat that again. A little less than 1.2 million, but when you round it off, this is what it is. Through 2035. Right? Every year from 2011 through 2035, the former outfielder receives deferred payment of $1,193,248 on the agreement as a result of the New York Mets releasing the outfielder before the 2000 season, right? And turning the remaining $5.9 million he had on his contract into $29.8 million deferred, stretched through 2035. This is why July 1st is officially known as Bobby Bonilla Day, right? Now, I'm going to say this about Bobby Bonilla. It was a smart move by his agent and by himself. Now, think about that. Stretched out the contract, still receiving payments, even though he's no longer playing. So, you know, late in these careers, some of these athletes don't know how to conduct themselves right and don't know how should I say, manage their money correctly, right? So back to Bobby Bonilla, you know, he actually started to pave a way. He was a trendsetter because now a lot of these athletes are getting deferred payments in their contracts, right? So Bobby Bonilla definitely set off a trend, right? So shout out to him for securing the bag. And you know, that was a lesson for all these general managers and organizations that like the little perks, incentives, and clause in the contracts. It goes both ways. It came back to bite the New York Mets, right? It is what it is. Coming in at number 9. Now, this one here is a little confusing, but it is what it is. Miguel Cabrera, Detroit Tigers. 8 years, $248 million. Cabrera once dominated and tortured American League pitching, winning 2 American League MVPs, also winning the Triple Crown, and making 11 All-Star appearances. A career 316 hitter, 316 hitter. But, however, since 2017, he has dealt with numerous injuries and has been in a decline rapidly. Right? So basically, this is a case as far as a team rewarding their player for the production and performance he's put on the field for that team. So basically, Cabrera was rewarded for making all those All-Star appearances, winning the Triple Crown, winning those MVPs, leading the Detroit Tigers to a World Series appearance, right? It is what it is. Shout out to Miguel Cabrera, one of the greatest hitters in Major League Baseball history. Career, as of right now, 316 hitter. So, the guy bats for average, hits for power, gets you RBIs. Again, he was rewarded for previous performances during the duration of him being a Detroit Tiger. It is what it is, man. Let's move forward, man. Coming in at number 8. Now, this is another one similar to, Miguel Cabrera, but nowhere near the production or could he sustain that longevity during that course like Cabrera did. But coming in at number 8 is Chris Davis, right? Baltimore Orioles, 7 years, $161 million, right? When Baltimore signed the slugger, Davis had just walloped 159 home runs in the span from 2012 to 2015. But he is known as a strikeout machine, barely batting over the Mendoza line of 200 and consistently battling with injuries. So here you have a guy who can't hit for average. If he's not hitting for home runs, he can't get on base, can't get a walk, and is also always dealing with injuries. For a small market to make an investment the way Baltimore did in Chris Davis, it hurt them for the future. And it also proved that sometimes you can't reward your own players. And this was the case for that. But again, shout out to Chris Davis for what they call him crush, for securing that bag. Because in Major League Baseball, those contracts are guaranteed whether you suit up or not. Right? So again, shout out to Chris Davis and shout out to the Baltimore Orioles for taking a chance and proving to their franchise and to their organization and to their fan base that they take care of their own players and they look to be competitive. For however that reason and however it turned out, right? It is what it is. Let's move on though, man. Here on this list at number 7, it's not a Major League Baseball player. It's former goalie for the Islanders, Rick DiPietro, coming in at number 7. 15 years, $67.5 million. Let's rewind that for a second. 15 years, $67.5 million. In 2006, DiPietro signed the first ludicrous contract in NHL history. Over the next 2 seasons, DiPietro posted a 9.11 saves percentage, 9.11 saves percentage, right? And made the 2008 All-Star game. While dealing with hip issues, concussions, and a broken jaw, DiPietro was limited to 50 games during 5 seasons with the New York Islanders. Let me repeat that again. Dealing with numerous injuries from concussions, knee injuries, and a broken jaw, DiPietro appeared in 50 games during the course of 5 seasons. He was ultimately waived in 2013. And that buyout cost the New York Islanders $1.5 million annually until 2029. So he was waived in 2013, right? But annually, he receives $1.5 million from the New York Islanders until 2029. Again, DiPietro was the trendsetter in NHL, right? One of the first ludicrous contract in NHL history. shout out to DiPietro for securing that bag. At that time of his game, he was one of the elite goaltenders in the NHL. So he secured that bag. And again, salute to him. It is what it is. Can't knock a man for doing what he was supposed to do as performing, and he got paid for his performance. Again, it is what it is, man. Now, as you can see, my facial expression takes a little turn as we go back to the list. At number 6 are my New York Yankees, unfortunately. Jacoby Elsberry, 7 years, $153 million. When the New York Yankees swiped Elsberry away from their rivals, the Boston Red Sox, it turned out a pot of gold on their counterpart. Meaning, Boston knew what they were doing, right? Obviously, the injury history, the production, they let it go, and they didn't really try to get Elsberry back. So he ended up in the New York fold, 7 years, $153 million, right? Oh, man. Let's get into this, right? Injuries have ruined his New York tenure, right? Elsberry appeared in 111 games and 112 games, respectively, in 2015, 2016. 2017, 2018, kept off the field entirely, right? His contract is soon to come off the books for the New York Yankees. My whole gripe with the signing from the get-go was, why sign him coming off Boston? That's our rival. Sometimes you don't have to swipe a so-called good player or best player from your rival. Beating them head-to-head was good enough for me. You understand? From Roger Clemens to Kevin Youkilis to Johnny Damon, even though Johnny Damon was part of the 2009 World Series team, and he made a crucial, key play during that span. However, your boy Big June, man, never been a fan of one of your rivals suiting up for my team. Whether in any sport, from the Yankees to the Jets to the Knicks, it is what it is, man. I don't want to see one of my players suiting up for a team I don't like. Like it hurt me when Sean Ellis became a New England Patriot. But again, I did get the last laugh when he lost in the Super Bowl. And unfortunately, I was rooting for you to get a ring, but it didn't work out that way, Sean Ellis. And shout out to you for having a great career as a Jet. All right? Let's move on with this list, though, man. Coming in at number 5, Brian Kessler, Anaheim Ducks. 6 years, $41.25 million. $41.25 million, right? However you want to break it down. $41.25 million runs through 2022, right? Over a decade, Kessler was a critical piece. The center was among the top centers, defensive forwards, winning the Frank J. Selk Trophy in 2010-2011 season, right? Earning top 5 finishes in that span. From 2008 to 2016, Kessler notched 40-plus points. But over the last 2 years, he's labored to a total of 22 points with a minus 23 in nearly 1,800 minutes. Let me repeat that again. Minus 23 in nearly 1,800 minutes. He owns a no-move clause in 2020 and a limited no-trade clause in 2021. So, will his production come back up? Will he rebound? Or will Anaheim find a way to get rid of his contract? Who knows? Stay tuned for that. But as far as, again, like I mentioned with Cabrera and Chris Davis and some of these other athletes, these athletes were getting paid based on prior performance and the potential to continue to perform that way. This is why some of these contracts are considered ludicrous, because you give out certain contracts, certain lengths of a contract, look at the age of the athlete, and this is where things start coming into confusion, right? Okay. Let me go into number 5. Right? That was Ryan Kessler at 5, excuse me. At number 4, another team of mine's giving out money for no apparent reason, right? I should have suited up. Coming in at number 4, Joakim Noah, New York Knicks, 4 years, $72 million. When the New York Knicks signed Joakim Noah on of all days, Bobby Bonilla Day, July 1st, he was already steadily on the decline, appearing in 53 games, battling an assortment of injuries, which included shoulder and back issues, right? And also received a 20-game suspension for violating the league's drug policy. So, you already knew what you was getting yourself with Noah. Defensive anchor when healthy. Off and on the court, a character, right? Noah appeared in just 53 games for the New York Knicks. 53. On October of 2018, the New York Knicks waived Joakim Noah and stretched the remaining contract, as far as the money, 3-year period, until the end of the 2021-2022 season, right? He receives $6.4 million annually, not to suit up for the New York Knicks. He receives $6.4 million annually to go away by the New York Knicks. Um, 53 games, huh? Motherfucker. But it is what it is, man. Let's continue with this list, man. Coming in at number 3, Albert Pujols. 10 years, $240 million with the Los Angeles Angels, right? We all knew what he was doing in St. Louis, dominating at a high level in the National League, right? Tony La Russa, Yadier Molina, Adam Wainwright. That St. Louis Cardinal team was a well-oiled machine. They were making the playoffs. They were competing at a high level. They were winning World Series. He decided to go for greener pastures. He decided to secure that and collect that bag, and took his thunderous bat to Los Angeles, where he formed the 1-2 punch with Mike Trout, right? But they never received the results they were hoping for when they signed them, right? Let me get into this a little something, man. When the Angels signed Pujols, he had dominated for 11 years, boasting a career average of .328, batting average of .328, and on-base percentage of over .420, with 455 career home runs at the time. However, at the time of the signing, Albert Pujols was 32 and had dealt with injuries while as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. Right? So let's get this, right? However, Pujols was almost 32, and the Angels should have seen the dangers of handing out a 10-year contract to an aging player. Since the beginning of the 2015 season, his on-base percentage barely cracks .300. And the slugger, who was once known to walk men more than strike out, is doing the opposite at a drastically rapid pace. He is striking out more than he takes to walk. The good news for the Los Angeles Angels and for Albert Pujols in this situation is that he played the entirety of his contract out and is a free agent as far as Major League Baseball. But I read something that he just signed a contract with some team. So, congratulations to Albert Pujols on an amazing career in Major League Baseball and for the accomplishments and milestones he accomplished in his career. Right? It is what it is. Got 2 more for you, man. John Wall, Washington Wizards, 4 years, $169.3 million extension, right? 4 years, $169.3 million extension. John Wall is immensely talented and incapable, of giving you 20 and 10 on a nightly basis. Right? But his presence hasn't resulted in much but a second round exit in the playoffs. Let me read that again. John Wall is immensely talented, capable of putting up 20 and 10 on a nightly basis. For all the numbers that John Wall puts up, the Washington Wizards cannot make it further than the second round in the playoffs. Right? Now, 9 seasons into his NBA career, John Wall is now an injury-plagued veteran. Right? Since inking the $169.3 million extension, the Supermax, right, deal in 2017, John Wall was traded to Houston for Westbrook and is currently off the roster at home, being paid not to play. Right? That's crazy. You're getting paid to post videos in the gym, you balling, hooping it up with Ben Simmons and some of these other ex-NBA players trying to showcase their talents to get in the league again, right? John Wall, when healthy, was top 5 point guard in the game. So when he signed that contract with the Wizards, no one would expect that it would be on this list at number 2 of the worst contracts in sports history. Now, some of these contracts are questionable. They are. There's no way you can go around it. They are questionable. And, at number 1, when I seen it, I was kind of shocked. Actually, I was kind of disappointed because there were so many other contracts, so many other names, so many other players who could have took this spot. But let me round it off to you, right? Here at number 1 is Andrew Wiggins. 5 years, $147.1 million extension with the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Now, let me break down Wiggins a little bit, right? Number 1 overall pick. A lot of expectations coming into the draft. More expectations exceeded when he became a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves, a struggling franchise looking for a savior. Number 1 overall pick, first Canadian player, a lot of hoopla surrounding young Andrew Wiggins, right? But now let me give you what a general manager from the Eastern Conference and scout, basically his assessment of Andrew Wiggins, right? This is what he said. Wiggins doesn't rebound, doesn't defend, doesn't shoot well, doesn't get you assists. He'll score sometimes, but that's all he does. And this is according to an Eastern Conference scout / general manager, right? Let me repeat that again. Wiggins doesn't rebound. He doesn't defend well, doesn't shoot well, doesn't get you assists. Will score sometimes, but that's all he does. Wiggins, 1 year into his 5-year extension, which looks ill-fated and isn't getting any better. According, right? This is what I'm reading. In 2018-2019 season, Wiggins shot a career worst 41.2% from the field, right? And ranked 45th amongst small forwards in ESPN's Real Plus Minus poll, right? At just 24, his main appeal is hope. I gotta laugh at that. Excuse me. Let me read that again. At just 24, his main appeal is hope for the future, but little evidence provided. Hopes come around of an all breakout that is coming. Right? So, on a bad team, a lot of lofty expectations. They did get Karl Anthony Towns. They try to bring in Jimmy Butler, the veteran presence. That didn't work for whatever reason. Tom Thibodeau. Again, Andrew Wiggins, as the number 1 overall pick, took the blunt of the blame. So everything fell on his shoulders. Right? Young kid, just in the league. A lot of expectations moving forward on a bad organization. Again, no justification, no excuse for the performance of Andrew Wiggins, right? But for him to be number one on this list, it's kind of crazy. Now, I take it a step further before I end this episode, right? And let me give you Andrew Wiggins' numbers in Golden State. In 2021, Andrew Wiggins appeared in 71 games, averaging 33 minutes per game, right? But now I'm just getting to the real numbers. 18.6 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game, 2.9 assists per game. Andrew Wiggins shot 47.7% from the field, right? 47.7% from the field in 2020 for the Golden State Warriors, right? Now here's a small sample of 2021 so far. In 25 games, Andrew Wiggins is averaging 18.6 points per game. 4.4 rebounds per game. And is averaging 1.7 assists per game. Now, here's the number that they made a big hoopla of, right? Andrew Wiggins is shooting 48.7% from the field. So basically, Andrew Wiggins is hitting half his shots from the field. Does that sound like a bust? Is that a player who is currently on the list of the worst contracts in sports history? Averaging 18.6 on the Golden State team that has Steph Curry, that has Draymond Green. So the expectations have been lowered. He can actually go out and play his game. And the numbers speak for themselves. So how is Andrew Wiggins number one on the worst contracts in sports history? Right? No one mentioned the Robinson Cano contract. No one mentioned the contract that the New Jersey Devils gave out the forward, Igla, I can't pronounce his name, the Russian sniper. You know, it is what it is. There were also a lot of other contracts that were given out from different football, from football to basketball to baseball to hockey. It is what it is. Shout out to all the athletes that secured the bag. And shout out to all the organizations willing to take a chance and handing out the bag. It is what it is, man. Again, this episode here, the worst contracts in sports history, from 10 to 1. From Bobby Bonilla to Andrew Wiggins. I gave you the list. You know, some could say they should have added Alex Rodriguez into the mix. You know, Robinson Cano. A couple of other more names will come to me as it comes. And if you have a name that you thought should have been on this list, you know, leave it in the comments or something, man. And for all the new, you know, all the new people tuning into the channel, like, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's start getting this momentum and rising and, you know, take Big June Sports Talk to the next level. I got these episodes coming up, so stay tuned. I'm working on grounding. You know, thank you for the love on Spotify. Got that yearly wrap up. I was, you know, truly humbled by it. I'm going to continue to hit y'all with that audio. So be on the lookout for the Who's the Greatest Big Man trilogy. I'm about to get on that. And, you know, got the Derek Jeter, got the Splash Brothers, I got the Tom Brady.